Hi everyone, my name is Don Prezant and I'm the Open Badges coach for the HPass pilot, and I'm here to start that process of coaching you with regard to Open Badges with this presentation. Let me just share the screen. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to frame learning and recognition. We're going to define Open Badges. We're going to provide some examples of that both within the humanitarian sector and beyond. We're going to outline why HPass is getting involved with Open Badges, and then suggest some next steps for you, and we'll conclude with the opportunity to earn a badge. The learning outcomes, hopefully you're going to come away with the ability to describe Open Badges as verifiable digital credentials. You'll be able to explain why HPass is using Open Badges, and maybe suggest some ways that your organization can be using Open Badges to develop your workforce. So let's just talk about learning and development in the kind of world that most of us live in, which is often volatile, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of complexity, a lot of ambiguity, and sometimes some danger. It's difficult to map courses to the kinds of learning needs that we have. They're often overlapping, they're often hard to define, etc. And a lot of our learning is done on the fly. And this is why you have approaches to learning such as 70-20-10, where formal learning is often really only the beginning of the story. A course or a workshop is a way to introduce a topic, but then it gets picked up in social contexts through things such as communities of practice, through coaching, through mentoring, but often just working alone, working through experience, reflecting on your experience, using tools and applying the learning you've done and the questions you've asked in the workplace as you simply get things done. So in a context like that, we need more than courses and exams to assess what people know and can do. We need flexible ways to assess learning and recognize it. And the UNESCO says this very well with the notion that regardless of where it happened, all learning and training outcomes deserve to be valued and validated. So I just have a bit of a rant about paper credentials. I basically say they're really not very transparent. A paper document often needs other documents to support it. It's often just a proxy. So if somebody comes to you with a transcript, what does that transcript mean? It's really difficult to know. They're often easy to forge. In terms of recognition, it's difficult to drill into a transcript and say what is actually contained in that, even in a training certificate, what really happened during that training session. There's often no link to supporting evidence, and typically experiential learning is not covered there. And the physical issue, if it's one piece of paper, it may be easy to lose, or you may have it with one person and then you need to revalidate it or re-authenticate it for another person. It's very difficult to share. So those are some of the downsides I see to paper credentialing. What's really needed here is a way to map skills in more useful ways for organizations so that if they have particular needs across their organization or in a particular region, there is some way to help them get there, figure out where they're at, where the gap is, what they need to get to, etc. And for individuals to be able to fill those roles. So this is my way of introducing Open Badges. Often people just basically call them micro-credentials, and that's a dominant use of them. What I like to call them is a portable record of learning that's actually owned by the learner. They can take it with them from the learning context to the next context that they might be in and might want to use it for. It's a digital image that has standardized information baked into it, and it's baked into it with the standards, so that makes it portable. So if both the original learning platform and the ultimate, for example, portfolio platform or human resources management platform both support the Open Badge standard, then that document can be read in both contexts. So In this way, they can provide progress markers. There could be learning pathways that are defined by badges. They're actually a way not only for the learner to show what they know and can do, but where they got it from. So if you're a learning or assessment provider, your learners can become brand advocates for you. It's a way of building trust. So we're going to be exploring different ways of endorsing these credentials, where it could be HPass endorsed or endorsed by another organization. This is a description of the structure of a badge. So the badge name, description, the criteria, what it takes to earn the badge, who issued it, when was it issued, is there evidence supporting it, is there an expiry date, does it relate to standards or skills frameworks, etc. All these things are standardized elements of a badge and give it meaning beyond the original context where it was offered. It was invented by Mozilla back in 2011, and I'm fond of saying that in 2017 it grew up, got a haircut, bought a suit, because the standard has been taken over by the IMS Global Learning Consortium, which is an international standards body. So just a quick way of mapping where open badges fit in the world of credentials. They're seen as open badges are a subset of digital badges, which are themselves a subset of credentials. They can be micro-credentials. They don't have to be. They can be professional digital credentials. And again, they don't have to be. They're a very flexible way of making a claim and backing that claim up based on the standards that are behind it. So I like to talk about badges as transparent lenses on learning, and let me sort of walk you through that. Basically, it's a way of talking about the learning experience. Was it a course? Was it simply an assessment? Was it a work experience? Did you set up a learning contract? Did you learn by yourself? Did you learn with others? The criteria. Were there learning objectives? Were there outcomes? Was it related to a competency framework or a standard? And was that competency perhaps expertise in a particular area, or was it transversal? Was it a soft skill, something like leadership? In terms of assessment, was it just a psychometric exam, or were there other ways of assessing what you know and can do, such as, say, a portfolio, skills demonstration, or something like that? In terms of recognition, is it recognizable outside of the original context, or is it just maybe a progress marker within a course? Is it a milestone? Is it several courses or several modules you took that are recognized in a milestone? Is it even a certification? So there are some open badges out there that are so-called micro certifications. I'll be showing you an example of that. And how portable is it? Not just the technology, but also the meaning behind it. So is it just some agreement you might have with another organization where you agree to recognize each other's credentials, or perhaps you've mapped it to a third-party framework or standard, something like the Core Humanitarian Competency Framework, for example. In terms of the impact, I like to talk about badges as learning outcomes analytics, because basically people, it's not the fact that people spent hours or took courses, it's what did they demonstrate to earn the badge, and how can you track that? And I'll provide you an example of that later on. But it's a way of saying, for example, how many people can speak a particular language, how many people have developed expertise in a particular area, or very simply, how many people have taken this compliance training that's required in order to go on mission, for example. And all of this adds up into a diverse way to look at quality, a sort of multilateral way, a triangulated way to look at quality. So some ways to use open badges, and this is not intended to be exhaustive, is as you would expect, take a course, take a module, take a program, earn a badge, especially if it's got some embedded assessment in it. Doesn't have to have a high stakes embedded assessment, could be a lighter touch one, and that's still a useful signal if it's combined with other evidence in a particular context. Competency certifications, we'll show you an example later on, but of one based on exams, but there are other ways of certifying competencies, and we have some examples there. Memberships. You could simply say, I'm a member of this kind of group, and it's a way of displaying that you're a member of a group, finding other members of that group, or saying you're a member of this group along with something else. It's a way of recognizing experience. It's a way of recognizing, for example, missions you might have gone on, or the fact that you were a mentor or a subject matter expert. And it's also a way of declaring interests, a way of declaring values, for example. So here's one example of a global organization that's actually mapping global talent. That's IBM. They are talking about skills heat maps, mapping nano skills around the globe. And those can be based on taking courses where people end up with knowledge badges. They can be based on assessment that they actually have can demonstrate a skill. Perhaps they're actually really good at the skill and they've achieved a higher level of skill called a proficiency. Or perhaps they're recognizing achievements and contributions to the IBM community. One particular example is their design thinking, enterprise design thinking practitioner badge, which was their way of saying that design thinking is important to IBM. Here is a badge you can earn to show that you are developing design thinking. And that one's been very successful for them. I just checked the statistics today, and it's almost 120,000 people have earned that badge. So PHAP, Professionals in Humanitarian Assistance and Protection, they have two kinds of badges in the sector. One of them is a membership badge based on years of service and a membership fee. And then they also have these micro certifications. You see 3 here. They'll be coming up with 3 others quite soon, actually within the next month or so. And these are based on psychometric exams, so they're high stakes micro certifications. Disaster Ready, they are issuing open badges for things such as learning pathways related to getting started in the humanitarian sector. They feel that the social life of these badges is important to the learners, so they can basically demonstrate their interest in humanitarian intervention and the fact that they're moving their way towards it using open badges. Just want to frame now open badges for you based on the platform that we've chosen. We're working with Open Badge Factory out of Finland. There's a number of ways of issuing badges in Open Badge Factory. A lot of it can be simply manual. You take a course, but other ways of connecting to the system are that you could take an online e-learning course, such as on Akaya Connect, and based on taking that course or a program of courses, you can be issued badges. They go to a free platform for end users called HPass, and from there they can be shared as badges. They can be assembled in pages and shared as micro portfolios, and then they can also be shared to social media. So you see LinkedIn there, you see Twitter, there's also Facebook, and there's something there, the Mozilla Backpack was an early place to share badges, and that's still supported. This is the overview of what you're going to be working with through the pilot. You'll have accounts in Open Badge Factory on the left, and you may be able to connect those. You may want to connect those to learning platforms you have, but that's not necessary. A lot of the issuing you can do can be through just simply somebody's email, or you can set up so-called badge applications, and we'll be showing you some examples of that. Many ways to issue badges, but you can manage them in one place. So I picked up on IBM's terminology, and what the vision for HPass is a skills heat map for the humanitarian sector. And this is the kind of thing, wouldn't it be great if we could see the people who had particular skills in different regions around the world? That's what we're working towards. And the way we're hoping to get there is by starting with individuals who might be earning open badges from different locations, different contexts, different agencies, and from different providers, some of whom might be HPass audited. In some cases, it might be MOOCs. So people would be accepting these badges, can curate them in their own personal free accounts on HPass. And those badges that were aligned to frameworks such as the Core Humanitarian Competencies Framework would have more value. In addition, if they were endorsed, so if they were HPass endorsed, so if you became audited against the learning or assessment provider standards, your badges would tend to float to the top, and you'd be able to share it to social media. More importantly, over time, these badges are going to be visible to HRIS systems and talent management systems, people doing mission recruitment, etc. So that what's going to develop is a skills marketplace for the humanitarian sector, where new recruits can be observed and captured, where people can be recruited for new missions, find new roles within the organizations and across agencies, and potentially find new careers when they've decided to move on from the humanitarian sector. So from the sort of beginning of things with the talent pipeline down there on the bottom left, through recruitment and induction, through performance management, building teams, through tracking experience and development, identifying future leaders or future subject matter experts, and then even helping people with career change and outplacement. We see open badges as a common currency for managing this kind of skills ecosystem. So just to provide a different kind of overview, we have organizations who might be learning providers, they might be assessment providers or credentialing bodies, and even employers who might want to issue badges. Those badges would be informed by the standards for humanitarian action that we've developed in HPass. They'll be issuing badges from the Open Badge Factory platform. Humanitarians will be looking for these badges, they'll be accepting these badges. They'll be sharing them on My HPass with employers and volunteer organizations. Those organizations are seeking potentially to recruit people and develop them. And we have an auditing service based on the provider standards. And so anybody who's assessing or learning or providing learning can request an audit. If they're successful in the audit, they become HPass endorsed. This signposts their badge and badges and makes them more findable, more prioritized within the system. We have ways of bringing in badges from external systems, such as the PHAP badges that are coming, working on another platform. And then other platforms, again, we have an early adopter organization who's working with a platform called Badger, for example. We'll be supporting this with the HPass portal, which will have the standards themselves. They'll have supporting documentation. We'll also have some resources around the core humanitarian competency framework and resources around open badges and how to move forward with that. So just talking about the pilot options, some of you are piloting the standards and the self-evaluation tool and the auditing process. We're focused today in this presentation on piloting open badges as a badge issuer, and this is what we hope to accomplish. I've broken this out on its own separate page here just to say that we suggest you attend some web clinic information sessions. We'll be publishing a schedule about that on April the 30th, and it'll begin on a sort of a weekly kind of level and then shift to a monthly kind of level as people get started. We'll be suggesting you register your organization for a free trial account on Open Badge Factory and start working with that. And what we've set up for you is a badging fundamentals guide, and that's what we're working with right now. We're in step 1 of the badging fundamentals guide, looking at the video. And that'll all be all about earning, creating, issuing badges with hands-on learning, actually applying what you're reading, what you're listening to, and seeing if you understand it in a hands-on kind of way that you can take into the future. Once you work your way through that badging fundamentals guide and earn the ultimate badge, which is actually a fairly high value badge at the end of it, we'll be encouraging you to connect your existing Open Badge Factory, your free account, to HPass, so that your badges for the free trial, they'll just be flowing to this generic platform I'll show you called Open Badge Passport. At the end, we'll be connecting it to HPass so that badges you issue to humanitarians and volunteers will flow to this My HPass, which is the community for people holding badges in the sector. And at the end of it, we're very much looking for your feedback. We'll be seeing hopefully some of that in the badges that you earn, and some surveys that we'll be asking you to fill out, and possibly some follow-up questions we will have for you over the next 6 months. The estimated effort here, this is probably a bit high. The actual guide, I've estimated anywhere from 10 to 12 hours of effort. The rest of it will be in terms of feedback and dipping in and out of these information sessions, etc. So just to conclude, this is the badge you can earn as an early adopter. And basically it says that your organization was selected to be part of this program and that you completed a badge application questionnaire explaining clearly why your organization is exploring open badges and what you hope to learn during the pilot. There's a link down there at the bottom. It's recreated in the Badging Fundamentals guidebook that you can fill in this form and provide your email, and you'll earn a badge. So hopefully I haven't confused you too much, and you'll be able to follow this program and hopefully learn a lot from it. I worked quite hard on the Badging Fundamentals guidebook to just try and think through what are the useful concepts to get across, and how can we use your hands and your head to make that really clear. If you have any questions, by all means, please connect with me, either at the, as I say, the regular web clinics, or simply reach out at info@hpass.org. So in conclusion, thank you very much, and we'll hopefully be talking very soon.